Good morning, all. My name is Dr. Ikenna Okpare Onya. I am a senior lecturer in History Unit, School of General Studies, Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umobike. This semester, one of the courses I will teach you is titled The Nigerian Peoples and Culture, and the code is GSS 112. This course is specifically designed to bring good and lasting national integration and nation building to our citizens, especially the fresh students in the university. Thus, the course is designed to teach our students, our fresh students, indigenous values, norms, and traditions in that will help Nigeria to be reckoned as one of the great nations in Africa. We can recall that all over the world, even in United Kingdom, there is what we call United Kingdom's tradition. In America, there is what we call American tradition. Even in Europe, under the platform of European Union, they also have what they call Western European tradition. So Nigerian Peoples and Culture is a course designed that we make our students to think Nigeria, act Nigeria, and act nationally. And the Constitution of Nigeria is also in support of the course titled Nigerian Peoples and Culture. Let's look at the slide and see what the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria says about the course. It says that the state shall protect, preserve, and promote the Nigerian cultures, which enhance human dignity and are consistent with the fundamental objective. The policy shall serve to evolve from our plurality, a national culture, the stamp of which will be reflected African and world affairs. Therefore, the purpose of this chapter is to provide a historical and evolutionary background to the study of the entity called Nigeria, the people and their cultural makeup. We now look at the objective of today's lecture. And we say that after completing this chapter, our students will be able to, one, explain and discuss the Nigerian cultural areas. Secondly, our students will state and explain the importance of teaching Nigerian peoples and culture. Thirdly, our students will be able to describe and explain the meaning and characteristics of culture. They will also understand the functions of culture in the society. And lastly, our students will highlight some of the major cultural areas in Nigeria. We say, having stated the objective of today's lecture, the next question to consider is, why must we study or have good knowledge of Nigerian peoples and culture? The study of Nigerian peoples and culture will help explain to our students in different faculties of the university the evolution of Nigeria as a political unit. Other important reasons why we must study Nigerian peoples and culture include: one, each culture contributes uniquely to the nation's identity, enriching its social fabric and fostering a sense of unity amidst diversity. Secondly, cultural studies provide insights into the values, norms, and belief systems that underpin Nigerian society, offering a platform for dialogue, appreciation, and mutual respect among its people. Thirdly, in an increasingly globalized world, where cultural homogenization threatens indigenous traditions, the preservation of Nigeria's cultural heritage becomes an urgent imperative. Fourthly, it is through cultural studies that we can document, celebrate, and transmit our cultural legacy to future generations, ensuring that our unique identities continue to thrive amidst the current of change. And lastly, in essence, cultural studies in Nigeria are not just an academic discipline, but a vital tool for preserving our collective memory, fostering unity, and celebrating the rich and tapestry of our nation's cultural heritage. Before we discuss the Nigerian cultural areas in details, we shall first of all discuss and examine the concept of culture. We ask ourselves, what is culture? Culture has been defined in many ways. Currently, there are no consensus among historians, sociologists, and anthropologists regarding the definitions of culture. However, that of Professor Edward Taylor, the British anthropologist, is seen and regarded as the most comprehensive definition of culture. Let's look at the slide and see what Professor Taylor said about culture. He defined culture as that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of the society. In his own contribution, Professor Mazamanda sees culture as the sum total of human achievement, material as well as non-material, capable of transmission sociologically, that is, by tradition and communication, vertically as well as horizontally. Since culture does not stem from biological inheritance, it therefore means that culture can be referred to things which human beings do, which are purely social and lacking in biological basis or connections. Therefore, we can argue that culture is to a people what an engine is to a machine. Having looked at the definition of culture, the next thing we consider is to examine the different types of cultures we have. And we have principally two types of culture, material culture and non-material culture. Material culture relates to the physical objects, resources, and spaces that people use to define their culture. Example, things like homes, schools, churches, mosques, and other things. All of these man-made objects and things that have been evolved over years for man's well-being and comfort are material culture. Let's look at the second type of culture called non-material culture. Non-material culture belongs to the non-physical ideas that people have about their culture, including belief, values, rules, norms, morals, languages, social rules, ethics, music, literature, customs, traditions, organizations, and institutions. Non-material culture is just a bit of impact on our life as material culture. The next subtitle we consider is characteristics of culture. Culture has its own features, and Professor Samakashi identified the following as some of the characteristics of culture. One, culture is learned behavior. Not all behaviors are learned, but most of it are learned. For instance, combing one's hair, standing in line, telling jokes, all constitute behaviors which had been learned. Secondly, culture is abstract. Culture exists in the minds or habits of members of the society, which means that culture is the shared ways of thinking and doing things. Number three, culture is a pattern of learned behavior. The definition of culture indicated that the learned behavior of people are patterned. Fourthly, culture is the product of behavior. Cultural learnings are the product of behavior. As the person behaves, there occur changes in him. He acquires the ability to swim, to feel hatred towards someone, or to sympathize with someone. The fifth point, culture includes attitude, values, and knowledge. There is widespread error in the thinking of many people who tend to regard the ideas, attitude, and notions which they have as their own. And lastly, culture is transmitted among members of society. The cultural ways are learned by persons from person. Many of them are handed down by one's elders, by parents, teachers, and others. Functions of culture in our society. The following are some of the important functions of culture. 1. Culture defines situations. Each culture has many subtle cues which define its situation. It reveals whether one should prepare to fight, run, laugh, or make love. For example, suppose someone you visited refused to give you kola nut. It is a sign among the Igbo that you are not welcome. Secondly, culture defines attitude, values, and goals. Each person learns his culture, what is good, true, and beautiful. Attitude, values, and goals are defined by the culture. And thirdly, culture defines myths, legend, and supernatural. Myths and legend are important parts of every culture. They may inspire, reinforce effort and sacrifice, and bring comfort in bereavement. And lastly, culture provides behavioral patterns. The individual needs not go through painful trial and error, learning to know what food can be eaten without poisoning himself or how to live among people without fears. Having seen the functions of culture, we are now going to look at the cultural zones in Nigeria. And Nigeria has four identified cultural zones. One is Niger Delta cultural zones. The second one is Rainforest cultural zone. The third one is the Guinea Savanna cultural zone. And the fourth one is the Sudan Savanna cultural zone. We will be picking all these cultural zones one after another. We will start with the Niger Delta cultural zone. And we will ask ourselves, who are the Niger Delta people? We say that the Niger Delta region of Nigeria has both political and cultural definitions. Culturally speaking, the region comprises of heterogeneous communities with several ethnic groups, including the Urobo, Isoko, Isekiri, Ijo, Ogoni, and others, mostly found in Delta, Bayelsa, and some parts of Rivers State. The political definition of the Niger Delta includes 6 states that are located between the coasts of the River Niger and the Atlantic Ocean, which are Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, and Rivers. Again, the Niger Delta Development Commission, NNDC, includes other states with crude oil as part of the Niger Delta, and the 9 states are Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and Rivers. The Niger Delta region is a vast low-lying region through which the waters of the Niger River drain into the Gulf of Guinea. The different ethnic groups that constitute Niger Delta region are generally described as minorities. Fishing is the major occupation for those that live entirely within the mangrove and freshwater areas. Those located in the immediate hinterland combine fishing with the cultivation of root crops. And lastly, The Niger Delta people are rather professionals in the domains of canoe making, soap production, ceramics, and others. Also, music and dance constitutes an immense contribution of the Niger Delta region to the overall heritage of the Nigerian nation. Having seen and discussed one of the cultural zones in Nigeria, the Niger Delta, the next one we consider is the Rainforest region of Nigeria. And the question we have to ask ourselves, who are the inhabitants of the Rainforest region of Nigeria? First of all, the cultures of the Rainforest region of Nigeria can be easily categorized into four main groups, namely the Yoruba, the Western Igbo, the Eastern Igbo, and the Edoid. The Rainforest people are best known for their highly sophisticated artistic traditions and skills. They are unbeatable in the science of metallurgy, especially iron smelting and blacksmithing. In the rainforest zone of Nigeria, terracotta figurines of very high artistic qualities have been found in several parts of the Igbo land, the Ibibio, the Edo, and the Yoruba lands. Having seen and examined the rainforest area, the next cultural area we consider is the Guinea Savanna region. And the question we have to ask ourselves, who are the Guinea Savanna people? The Guinea Savanna is the most extensive ecoregion in Nigeria and a major food production zone. The Guinea Savanna region is known as the home of an overwhelming majority of Nigeria's cultural groups. They are known for their chieftains of village-based democracy. The four major states of Adamawa, Nasarawa, Plateau, and Taraba, which constitute sizable percentage of the cultures of Nigeria, fall under this region. The Middle Belt is also part of this region. It covers the Idoma, the Ebira, the Igala, and the whole of Zaria communities to the south. The Guinea Savanna people share the border with Cameroon in the east and with the Republic of Benin in the west. The Guinea Savanna area of Nigeria is known as the food basket of Nigeria. The last cultural zone is the Sudan Savanna region of Nigeria. And we are going to ask ourselves, who are the people of Sudan Savanna region of Nigeria? And we say that just like the rainforest and Guinea Savanna regions of Nigeria, the Sudan Savanna region of Nigeria is also made up of some tiny little cultures. Besides, they are the Kanuri and Hausa, which constitute the major cultural groups of the Sudan Savanna. We should also remember that Hausa is Nigeria's largest cultural group. The Hausa people of Nigeria are mostly concentrated in Kano, Jigawa, Kaduna, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara states. Most Hausa communities have also settled in the neighboring Niger Republic. Besides, Hausa people are widespread over a large area of the central Sudan. Farming, industry, and commerce constitute the three major components of the people of Sudan Savanna. This is where we will end our lectures. Next week, we shall consider another topic titled The Cultures of Northern Nigerian People, where we will discuss in details many cultural groups in northern Nigeria. After that, we come to the southern culture group of Nigeria. Thank you.